This is Circa Ignem podcast, episode number 016. And our very special guest tonight is Mr. Cesar Lucio. Cesar, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Our excerpt is from How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Edward Bach left school when he was 13 and became an office boy for Western Union. But he didn't for one moment give up the idea of an education. Instead, he started to educate himself. He saved his car fares and went without lunch until he had enough money to buy an encyclopedia of American biography. And then he did an unheard of thing. He read the lives of famous people and wrote them asking for additional information about their childhoods. He was a good listener. He asked famous people to tell him more about themselves. He wrote General James A. Garfield, who was then running for president, and asked if it was true that he was once a towboy on a canal. And Garfield replied. He wrote General Grant asking about a certain battle, and Grant drew a map for him and invited this 14-year-old boy to dinner and spent the evening talking to him. Soon, our Western Union messenger boy was corresponding with many of the most famous people in the nation. Ralph Waldo Emerson, Oliver Wendell Holmes, Longfellow, Mrs. Abraham Lincoln, Louisa May Alcott, General Sherman, and Jefferson Davis. Not only did he correspond with these distinguished people, but as soon as he got a vacation, he visited many of them as a welcome guest in their homes. This experience imbued him with a confidence that was invaluable. These men and women fired him with a vision, an ambition that shaped his life. And all this, let me repeat, was made possible solely by the application of the principles we are discussing here. Why was that on your list, Cesar?
Because, that book was given to me by a priest.
Okay.
That's how
I would not have called that one.
it was given to me. Well, that one and How to Start Worrying and Start Leaving, Stop Worrying and Start Leaving.
Yeah.
By Dale Carnegie. The edition that he gave me was a special edition that combined both books.
Oh, nice.
But I don't know that you can find that anymore.
Sure.
And he was very influential, as many other priests that God has allowed me to come in touch with in my journey for me and my wife. And he gave it to me, and from page one, God was speaking to me through that book. Mm-hmm. Later on, I realized that, because I actually went back to him, and I said, wait a minute, is it just me, or this book is like based in Christian values? He says, yeah, it is. But only if you're familiar with Christian faith, yes, Christian values, Christian principles, that you'll be able to identify that.
Yeah.
And then that book made such an impression on me that I ended up becoming a Dale Carnegie instructor, certified instructor.
Nice.
I went through the whole training, and years later, I became the first Spanish-speaking, or bilingual for that matter, English and Spanish, certified instructor in the United States.
That's legitimate.
And so at that point, there were only 2,000 instructors in the world.
Okay.
So anyway, that's
awesome.
It changed my life.
Yeah. Yeah. So where did you actually go to get that certificate? Or did you have to go, I guess, is the better question.
Well, you first have to, what they call, leave the experience. Okay. So you have to take the sessions. You have to be a student first.
Okay.
And back then, it used to be, I don't know, it was 12 or 14 3-hour sessions.
Okay.
Here in Fresno. They're everywhere.
Everywhere. Yeah.
So I did that. And then I said, hey, I want to do this.
Yeah.
So, well, you have to now become an assistant.
Okay.
Like a class 8, so a teacher's aide, so gotcha. Instructor's aide. So, okay, so I did that for like 2 different groups.
Okay.
Like 6 months altogether. Then I said, okay, now you're going to go through the certification process. Mm. So it was I believe back then it was a 2-year process.
Okay.
So you have to continue getting involved in the program and then study and then go. In this case, I was going to Seattle once a year for a week and a half and meet people from different parts of the world. And then instructors that were training high-level individuals. And I'm talking like movie stars, royalty, you know,
CEOs
presidents,
of large
CEOs.
companies,
They were training as they were coaches. So, and that was an entire week and a half of training.
Awesome.
And then you go back and practice. And then a year later, you go back again.
Okay.
And then either you pass or not.
Okay.
And that's how you, and then, then you start teaching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's funny. So this book resonates with me in that, and I've found over time, more specifically in college, but I found over time that it's a quality that I don't know where I learned it. But so my background is English creative writing. And I've always approached even fiction, nonfiction, like this type of book, right? Like any book, I actually will do that. Like Dale talks specifically about how just do like a helicopter like glance through chapters and kind of just look at what's going on in the book. And I've gotten so much crap from people like all the time. They're like, that's BS. Like you should not be like reading ahead and ruining, like, especially in the case of fiction, like what's going on. But my argument always has been, and he kind of alludes to it, is, well, no, you can tell right away if something's good writing by the way it's structured, right? There's been thought put into how things are placed and what the content is. And it also helps to retain information. That's the other thing I think that he talks about as well. And for me, that's always like, it more is I know that my memory sucks. So I need like repetition over stuff in order to remember it. So that's why I actually picked this book, because I was like, I want to hear what Cesar has to say. But for me, it was like, okay, this is, you know.
And the one thing you'll discover when you read the book, which, by the way, I think I like to give books away.
Yeah.
You know, and that's one of the books that I had given more books away. And,
it's up there on the list.
yeah. Because I know if the people are interested, you know, that I know is going to touch their lives.
Yeah.
And because I saw what the program did after 12 weeks, I believe now it's 8 weeks. And I saw the impact on people's lives.
Yeah.
And I go, man, this stuff works. So I believe they call the golden rules, you know, the golden book, you know, those are the rules, the principles, you know, and each principle is a chapter of that book and the other book. Yeah. You can actually you cannot buy the golden book, I believe. See, I'm trying to remember. It's been such a long time.
Sure.
You have to go through the training and everything. I think now you can buy it.
Oh,
but you can find them online.
But it used to be like a rite of passage.
Yeah,
you would
like
only get
exactly.
it.
Yeah. I still have the one.
See, I appreciate
that they gave me, and it was in 1996.
Okay.
So that's why I'm having a hard time remembering, because it's been like 1996. Do the math, you know.
What is that? That's almost 30 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
That's crazy.
That's when they gave me that little book, and I still. It's all beat up and everything, but it's actually in my car right now.
That's awesome.
And the suitcase that I carry to the office, I carry it with me all the time.
Yeah. So wait, you have a suitcase. Where are you working right now, Cesar? Where are you working right now?
Right now, I'm working in the nonprofit sector.
Okay.
I work with an organization here in Fresno, the Central Valley Community Foundation.
Okay.
And I am the regional economic officer.
Okay.
I oversee the coordination and implementation of an initiative that is being led by the U.S. Department of Commerce.
Okay.
In 5 different counties, and it's all about economic development.
Nice.
Specifically for the ag industry and technology innovation for the ag industry.
Really? Are you in partnership with the Fresh Fruit Association by any chance? Are you communicating with them?
I know who they are.
Okay.
I don't know they're part of the... They could be part of... You know, there's like 230 partners.
I know. That's when I mentioned them, I was like, there's a ton of them.
Yeah, and I know there's partners from the government, universities, community colleges, private sector, manufacturers, industry, ag industry, farm workers, growers, elected officials.
I ask because I'm literally working on a project right now that could, from a technology standpoint, that could specifically completely reinvent the table grape industry as we know it, from a technological standpoint of how table grapes are packed. And it's interesting when you start getting associations and things involved, because they want to be the ones that are presenting that to the industry. And I'll leave it at that. A lot of times there's this it's more just this power struggle of, well, we exist to do that. And yet when you're not, when you're a sales guy showing up going, hey, this is really viable, and they're not part of that conversation, there's a lot of, we'll just say a lot of hurt feelings. And then they try and, derail it. And it's like, guys, we're all on the same team. It's you can take the information, but my goal is to try and help out a customer, like people that really matter, so.
Yeah, the beauty of this project is that has a component that, the really heavy component, which is, equity and inclusion.
Yes.
And to help the small farmer, farm workers, the mid-size.
Yep.
It doesn't matter the size, but it's primarily to help, to see if we can provide a platform for them to access to capital, to access to market.
Okay.
And one of the components is about, it's not completely in place just yet. It'll be probably within the next 10 months. It's to develop technology and have so many startups here in the Valley.
Okay.
For the next 3-4 years.
Awesome. Yeah, I can resonate with that because of how much, you're in it. So there's been a lot of just merging and acquisition, right? So the big keep getting big and the small disappear, or even the mid-size disappear. And it's like, and you start to get into that monopoly range or quasi-monopoly, where when there's only so many big dogs, they can kind of just figure out where the market needs to be. And then the farm worker, right, the people that really are impacted by those decisions are left in the dust. They're not considered. And in fairness, knowing many of these grower packers, their hands are tied because of regulation from government. They're just responding to continued increase on minimum hours per week and increase on minimum wage. And they're like, well, I can't keep operating, with those constrictions. I have to figure out some way to cut, so it's a real problem. Thank you for the work, by the way. Anything else on how to win friends and influence people?
No. Just that, when this priest gave it to me, it was just out of a conversation where he was actually coaching me about how to be an effective leader in the parish, and then he gave me the book, and I go, oh, yeah, he was actually, no, he wasn't the only one. Several priests, and for that matter, I think all of them, and nuns over the years, always were very straightforward with me and my wife. No. This is not how it gets done. No. You need to learn this. No, you need to be educated. Yeah. And so we have been blessed in that regard that we were stretched.
Okay.
We were pushed, to grow. Yeah. In a good way.
Okay. That's awesome that he's including that at the parish leadership level.
Yes.
Normally that's applied in the business, right? Yeah. Like on the business side of the house, but he's going, no, this applies to parish leadership. That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's how I discovered my leadership actually started in the church.
Okay.
And then later on, I felt that God was calling me to be a leader outside the church.
Right. Yeah.
And so my leadership
started in.
It started in the church.
Yeah, not out and then in. It went and started in.
It was, and I truly believe it's my call.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I have jobs. Yes, I got pay, and I'm in leadership roles. Okay, fine, but I don't. To me, it's not just a job. To me, it's an opportunity to make to build a better world.
Sure. Yeah. People.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Build people. Yeah. Thank you. So we call this section the not so lightning round questions because it typically is around halfway or the almost, most of the time longer than the rest of the questions. But I feel like it's a good way to kind of get into just who you are. So we'll kick it off. What's your wake up routine like?
Well, it's been evolving. So my routine right now is not the same routine. My routine right now, I make a big mental effort.
Okay.
Not to entertain anything that could be negative when I open my eyes.
Nice.
That's the first thing, and I'm intentional about it.
Yeah.
Part of my routine is I don't touch my phone.
Okay.
I don't look at it.
Nice.
And I'm in a world where we're constantly communicating, sometimes 24/7 via text, and in many different ways.
Yeah.
That are connected to a device. I don't look at my phone.
Yeah.
Then this is part of my routine. My wife and I somehow we wake up at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
and then we hold hands.
Nice.
Either I do that or she does that. I look for her hand, she looks for my hand, and we do that. We don't talk, we don't say anything. We just hold hands, Yeah. And I think we're more asleep than awake, but we hold hands. And we've been doing this for I don't know how long.
That's beautiful.
And then one beautiful part of that routine is as soon as my wife opens her eyes, she smiles.
Nice.
We've been married for 37 years, and almost every day of those 37 years, when she wakes up and opens her eyes and makes eye contact with me, she smiles.
She's smiling. Yeah.
She has to be like extremely tired, had a really bad night full of nightmares or been like horrible, terrible sick or something like that for her not to do it. For the most part, Monday through to Sunday, I get that gift first thing in the morning.
Oh, that's great.
Then we get up and we go about our business, getting ready. We help each other. Whoever finishes first, takes care of the room. We fix the room. We don't leave a room. We fix the bed. We put everything away. We organize everything. We go downstairs. I start, with the coffee. I make her tea. She starts preparing whatever we're going to take for lunch, if we're going to take anything for lunch.
Yeah.
And while she's doing that, I go outside. I right now during the winter, I clean the windows for both cars. I get them going and turn the heaters,
Nice.
Hers has the seats and the wheels. Mine is just the seat. So when she goes to the office, when she gets in the car, it's nice and warm and windows are nice and clean. But I'm doing that for her. She's doing that for me.
Sure.
In a different way. Because really, that routine allows us to keep building a relationship.
Yeah.
It's like praying is a lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just specific moment when you close your eyes and you talk with God.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's one way of doing it.
Right.
But really, praying is a lifestyle.
Yeah.
So that's our way of communicating our faith.
Nice.
And until I get in my car, when I'm in my car, I don't look at my phone.
Yeah.
Now I start driving. And before I get to the car, while I'm enjoying my coffee, I don't know why. I've been doing this for so long. I like to read the Psalms of the day.
Yeah.
Not the gospel, not the first reading, is the Psalms.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. There's something about that. And I only do that part.
Yeah.
And I do that in English.
Okay.
When I get in the car, I listen to the gospel and a reflection, but I do that in Spanish.
Okay.
And I listen to that. Mm-hmm. And then I start praying.
Interesting.
But before I pray, I have things that I repeat. And I've been doing this for I don't know how many years. Yeah. I repeat 3 times, like 15, 20 different things every day. Mm-hmm. And a lot of them are to build myself up, mentally and emotionally. Mm-hmm. And one of them is, today and every day I will use the talents, gifts, and experience that God has given me to realize my full potential. Mm. And I repeat that 3 days.
Nice.
3 days, 3 times. And another one is, I will not worry because my faith is in God. I will not worry because my faith is in God. I will not worry because my faith is in God.
Nice.
And I repeat one of the principles from Dale Carnegie: do not criticize, condemn, or complain. Do not criticize, condemn, or complain. Do not criticize, condemn, or complain. So I kind of like, I'm telling my mind, okay, this is how you're going to function today.
Yeah.
And then I start praying.
Yeah.
Then I switch into praying. Mm-hmm. And then by the time I get to the office, I'm done with it.
Yeah.
So that's my routine.
Okay.
Every day.
Yeah.
When I don't go to the office, it's a little bit different.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's my routine.
Yeah. The 80%. That's what the question is, like the 80%. The other 20, it's like, we know that there is variation in there. Mm-hmm. Was there a definitive decision point in terms of the hand holding with your wife, or did it just start naturally and then continued to happen naturally?
I think I'm the one that initiated, and then just became a natural thing.
Okay.
And I have a very close friend that is a retired psychologist that gave me a long explanation why I do that.
Well, distill it down, Cesar.
Yeah, I'm like, really? That's not why I think I do it.
You're like, whoa, bro, don't psychoanalyze me.
Yeah, so it's a very good friend.
Okay.
He's in his 80s. He's retired now. Has a PhD in psychology. Yeah. And as a matter of fact, he was a psychology of the diocese. Okay. And psychologist, I'm sorry. And he told me, I think you had attachment issues, and it's because I will get more into the details of why, but he explained to me why. I go, really? Yeah. But anyway, we do it. We do it every day, every morning. And we don't say anything. We just hold hands. We touch, our hands, and that's all we do.
Mm-hmm. It's very reminiscent of the conversation I had with my dad, and it's that conversation with my dad a number of months back really has led to a lot of, I'd say, transformation in Jamie and I's, my wife and I's marriage, and because he called this out specifically in terms of that we always frame intimacy in the physical sense, right? Like in the sexual sense, in the marital embrace sense.
Yep.
But he's like, but intimacy is so much more than that, right? And so when you're talking about hand holding, that's like this beautiful, especially like waking up like that, right? Without like some sort of alarm or some sort of like indicator of, now, to your point about prayer, like, now we're going to hold hands. It's like, no. It's just like this like gentle slide into we are one, right? In a pure, and not that sex is impure, but you get what I'm saying. Like there's an intimacy there that is deeper than the sexual embrace, right? But that's cool. That's why I wanted to ask about it, because it was like, and you mentioned it at Manny and Angelique's wedding, like you have to be intentional in your marriage, right? Which Jamie and I have always taken that very seriously. Like you can't just think that this is going to happen without actually being intentional about it, right? Like good marriages, holy marriages, amazing marriages, it's because the work is put in, right? You're intentional with each other about treating each other the way that each other is meant to be treated. And anyways, yeah, that's a long-winded way of just thinking that that's cool. I'm like going, man, I hope one day that I can get to that.
You just have to be intentional.
For
just
sure.
wake up and do it.
Yeah. But then it's like, but is it like real if it's intentional? Because the way you made it sound is like, yeah, it just happens. And it's like, well, I don't know if that'll just happen.
Yeah, so. I think we are creatures of habits.
Yes. Amen to that.
And, we become what we repeat, good or bad.
Yep.
We become what we think over and over and over.
Yeah.
So thoughts influence our behavior.
Yeah.
And sometimes without even us knowing.
Yeah.
So that's why I start my day with infusing positive thoughts.
Yeah.
And they're all Christian based.
Yeah.
It's not about, I want to be the wealthiest guy in the world. I want to be the wealthiest guy in the world,
the classic power.
Yeah.
Power.
You're powerful, not that I don't believe in that.
No.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
It's just that it's not about that.
Yeah.
It's about, maybe when I was younger, it had part of that.
That allure was there.
Yeah. But I learned over the years, no, this is what's important.
Yeah.
And sometimes it changes.
Yeah.
Depends on because we evolve.
Yeah.
We evolve. We never stop evolving. Never.
Yeah. I've been doing night prayer for some time, and to your point about the Psalms, those are the night, like, Compline is all Psalms, right? And specifically, what strikes me always is Thursday night and Friday night, right? Because Thursday night Compline focuses, it's actually Eucharistic centered, which isn't by accident. We know that, right? But then Friday night moves into essentially passion, right? I am sorry, right? It's this mea culpa basically all through. It's I believe it's Psalm 51. But it is, like, to your point about the Psalms specifically, I super resonate with that. What's weird is mine happens at night and yours is in the morning.
Well, that's the thing, We all walk this journey different ways.
Yeah.
Different speeds,
Yep.
different times, different situations. So I think that it's about discover what God's calling you to do. Mm-hmm. I mean, there was a time where, to me, praying the rosary was like every day, it was like, and then I changed that, and I started doing more reading, and then now let's do reflection of the reading, and then sing. I love singing, then singing was my way of, somebody said if you sing, you pray twice. Yeah. So I was in a choir, for so many years in the church. But anyway, so I do that, and then it depends. And sometimes, you know what? Sometimes I feel that God is calling me, keep your mouth shut and just listen. You don't need to say anything. It's like, you need to listen more. That's why I give you 2 ears, and 1 mouth. Yeah. So, and sometimes, a lot of times, is more reflection, more meditation, is more listening. And what I mean by listening is, how is God talking to me right now?
Yeah.
And sometimes it could be at the stoplight. Sometimes it could be as you walk into the office. Sometimes it's as you walking out of the store. Sometimes as you get home. There's a moment where God's going to be talking to you. And that's what I mean. And sometimes it's just be alert. Yeah. God is going to talk to you today. Yeah. And you just have to, keep your eyes and ears and your heart open. And it's there.
Oh, man. Shout out to Father Boniface Hicks. So he's our spiritual guide on Exodus 90. And he did this beautiful way of describing when we talk about listening and hearing God. He's like, we misinterpret this often in the spiritual journey as like it's an actual voice. And he's like, most often, there are exceptions in saints, right? But he's like, most often, he's speaking through our thoughts, especially in the silence, right? Like he's using our thoughts because he's omnipotent, right? Like he can use what we've been created. But he gave this the funniest analogy. He talks about how in Scooby-Doo, when the villain was always presented, right, they would use like flour or some sort of powder because he's invisible and throw it. And then they could see the villain and the image of the villain kind of moving around and trying to get to them. He's like, that's how we should imagine what's happening when God's talking to us through our thoughts is we're throwing this really imperfect thing like our thoughts onto this completely eternal, all-knowing, like we can't even grasp who God is. We're throwing this imperfect thing, and then he's reflecting back down to us what we can comprehend by what we're throwing on. It's just this cool like image, like super goofy, right? Uh-huh. But at the same time, like I've never thought about it, and it's so hard to articulate when you're talking to people. It's like, yeah, I feel like, you know, I heard this in reflection or in meditation in silence today, and people are kind of like, you hear the voice of God, and it's like, well, not like that. It's more of just kind of chewing on a psalm or chewing. What I've found actually more recently is he'll use conversation. All of a sudden, there's one line that all of a sudden, like Cesar, you would say to me, and it's like, I was thinking about that this morning, and that's the answer. You know, you don't know that I needed to hear that, but God's using you to speak to something that I've been chewing on, or maybe even for the week, you know, that all of a sudden this one line just like it's boom, right to the heart. And it's like, oh, okay. Loud and clear, God. Loud and clear.
Yeah. You know what? One of the most amazing experiences in my personal experience, we're at church, we're closing the church. There's a prayer group on Wednesday, and towards the end, a homeless walks into the church and goes directly to me and makes eye contact with me and says, the first thing he said, please do not judge my appearance.
Oh.
I need to talk to somebody.
Wow.
I mean, that was the beginning of an amazing testimony. That we'll have to have another another program just for that. But it turned that chapter of my journey along with him turned into an amazing testimony.
That's awesome.
It's just amazing.
Yeah.
But it started with a homeless walking through church, going directly to me, makes eye contact with me, and says, please do not judge my appearance. I need to talk to somebody.
That's like straight gospel right there.
Yeah, I was like, okay.
Anything else on wake up routine that you want to share or reveal? That's awesome, man. All right. This one's funny. I always laugh at these. You can ask me any. Like it doesn't get old. How many times have you been pulled over or interacted with the police, Manny? And I love the smirk on your face right now.
Well, I wish I could say 0, but somehow I managed to get a speeding ticket like every 3.5 years. And it's always in the freeway. Those are really...
That was a really specific number, 3.5
No, really.
years.
Honestly, I always tell my wife, I think
do you get a new car?
Time.
Do you get a new car every 3.5?
No. It's like, I think it's been like that for a number of years now. Like, wait a minute, it's just me or every 3.5 years I get a ticket.
Yeah.
And never like, I was like 90 miles an hour or anything like that.
Sure.
That's really... No, yeah, maybe 89, but not 90. No.
Not reckless endangerment.
Yeah, no. But, those really... that, you know, and later in now that I'm in the nonprofit world, you know, I have been interacting with the police a lot, but from a whole different perspective. Now it's about finding solutions to problems in the community.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But me not being a good citizen is really only speeding tickets every 3.5 years.
Again, a very specific number. So, speaking of habits, Cesar.
And one day, I hope that one day, maybe God's speaking to me.
Maybe it turns to 7 years instead of 3.
So I don't know. So, but it's true. Mm-hmm. It's true. I'm not lying. It's true. Anyway,
hey, that's why I love this, because it's like there's always some sort of particular angle on this. What is your greatest accomplishment or achievement today? To date. Sorry, I said today. To date.
Today.
To date.
Oh, like, to date. I'm sorry.
To date. Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of things that I could talk about, and each one of them is a result of a challenge. But I think number one would be my marriage. Mm-hmm. You know, it's been 37 years. It hasn't been easy, but we've been blessed. Mm-hmm. You know, and every challenge that we have had, just like any other couple, has brought us together.
Yeah.
And growing, evolving together, sometimes becomes a challenge because you're different. Yeah. You're not the same person anymore. Mm-hmm. We see life different. So, but, you know, learn to, you know, agree to disagree and all those things, you know, keep falling in love with each other and all of that, you know. Mm-hmm. I think I would say my marriage, and then not that one is more important than the other, but the result of that is our family. Mm-hmm. Our family, and that's because I think as a family, over the years, we have learned to be okay with being imperfect. Mm. To learn from that imperfection to become a better family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I feel like us married men so far that have been on this, you know, so far, that's like resoundingly the answer. And even Father Michael, right? Like his thing is that, you know, priesthood, which is marriage to the church, you know. So it's a cool testament to, and it's funny, like I keep kind of kicking around, and we can talk more off mic on this, but it's like accomplishment and achievement. It's like when it involves another person, like our wives, they're not like something that we conquer, or in my case, it's not like I conquered her. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It more so than anything else for me, it's a recognition of I'm the luckiest man alive to have her in my life.
And you know what?
And that she said yes.
You're often going to hear me talk saying, you're going to hear me saying us.
Yeah.
Me and my wife.
Yeah.
You know, because I am who I am to a great extent because of her.
Sure.
Because we learn to complement each other. Mm-hmm. We learn that it's not about competing one against the other, but okay, you bring talents that I don't have and vice versa. Yeah. I have weaknesses that you don't have and vice versa. So how do we complement each other? And I think that has been probably the greatest accomplishment, where we learn to live that every day. And it's not every day is a good day. Not every day is an amazing day. Yeah. Sometimes we have horrible days. Sometimes we have horrible weeks, but being intentional brings you back.
Yeah.
And then next day is another opportunity.
Yeah.
Let's get back on track.
Yeah. Yeah, let's get back to the fundamentals.
Yeah.
Right? We know how to do this. It's a function of getting back to it. Yeah. Thank you. Anything else to elaborate on that? Okay. what's your greatest struggle with being Catholic?
You know what? It's just like marriage. In marriage, there's a person next to you that has a name, that you can hug, that you can say, I love you, and that responds to you with affection, with words.
Yeah.
When you're in ministry, it's different because you're interacting with a lot of people. And sometimes you don't hear anybody.
Yeah.
And sometimes you do.
Yeah.
But to be faithful and keep falling in love with what you believe, which sometimes you cannot touch. Sometimes it's almost like it's invisible. One time, I have a close friend of mine. We've been friends for a long, long time. He's not Catholic, but he's a very good Christian. And I learned a lot from them. From him, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He used to criticize me a lot because I was Catholic. And he would just go on and on and on and on. And it didn't matter what I said. I just, okay, you know, it's just fine, whatever, you know. But one day I said, you know what? You have 4 children. They're adults now. Yeah. And I happen to know who they are. And I happen to know all the good things they've done and a lot of the bad stuff that they've done. Because you have shared that with me. You have cried with me.
Yeah.
Yes. I said, so your kids are not perfect? No, they're not.
Yeah.
Okay, well, so your family's not perfect? No, my family's not perfect. Then why didn't you leave them? Why did you walk away from them? Because they're my family. Because I love them.
Yeah.
I said, exactly. The church, my family, is not perfect.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to walk away from them just because they're not perfect.
Nice.
That was the first time he ever criticized me or he said anything about the Catholic Church.
Wow. He was done. Like he just, checkmate.
Well, yeah, it took me a long time to say that. Like, hey, man, I don't know
How to respond to this.
How do I respond to this, man? I don't want to argue, you know?
Yeah.
It's not about proving anybody wrong. Who wins there, But anyway, so it's not easy, You have to get up every day. You have to remind yourself, And sometimes you don't become the best version of you.
Yeah.
You make mistakes. You walk away from what you believe, and then you come back, and then you fall, and then you get up, and you come back, and then you, and I think it's about, keep reminding yourself that this is good.
Yeah.
Don't stop.
Yeah.
Keep fighting. Keep doing it. Keep praying. I think for me, after all of these years, to remain at the same level all the time,
Yeah.
it's been a challenge.
Gotcha.
Especially when things don't go right, when your kid's in the hospital and you're told that they have disease, when your kids become teenagers and start making mistakes, when your kids start suffering, when your parents passed away, when your dad dies of cancer, and I can go on and on and on. When you lose your job, when I can go on and on and on, and to remain the same every day.
That's the struggle.
It hasn't been easy.
Yeah.
There's days where I don't feel like praying.
Yeah.
I feel so disappointed of life or whatever, and I go, nah, I'm not going to pray to them. So, but then again, you know, being intentional reminds me, okay, come on.
Yeah.
You know this is the right path. You know this is the right thing to
Yeah.
do. Oh, okay, let's try again.
Yeah.
So that's been challenging, you know. And it's the same thing like marriage. You fall in love, and the first couple of years is a honeymoon, and then what?
Yeah.
You got to start all over, you know.
Yeah.
How you keep...
And now the real work begins.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
So once you get past the honeymoon, then the real work begins.
Yeah.
Yeah, once things don't go right, that's when you know.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do?
Yeah. I was having an awesome conversation this morning, and part of the conversation was very relevant to what you're sharing is one of the biggest struggles about, especially Catholicism, I would say, and Christianity for sure in general, but I'd say specifically in Catholicism, because as Catholics, if we really truly believe that Christ is present, body, blood, soul, and divinity in the Eucharist, then we have every opportunity to be the most intimate with him that you can possibly be. Right? Like, he allows us to eat him. And yet, to exactly what you said, we overcomplicate, or I should say, additional to what you said, we can overcomplicate a relationship. We can make it way more difficult than it has to be. You know what I'm saying? And his name's Riley, great guy, and he was talking about how it was all from a homily from Father Michael addressed to elementary school kids. And he's speaking of audience, he's addressing a specific audience, and Riley's just beaming at this mass. He's so excited because he's like, I'm overcomplicating. This is what I needed to hear, God. Like, I'm overcomplicating a relationship that you desire so deeply to want with me. And I'm so adult about this thing that I'm getting in my own way with you. You know, like, I'm creating all these frames and ways that we're going to talk and setting these rules. And it's like, you're God. Like, I can set all the rules I want, but you're going to just, you know, mow those rules down. So anyways, that's cool. I really resonate with that, especially from a conversation earlier today. All right. Final question. So this is a good one. Have you watched The Office?
No.
Okay. All right. So can't really go there. Manny needs to introduce you to The Office. You've worked in an office environment, so you will die watching this show.
I know about the show. I just never watched.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this final question is there's a particular character in this, Michael Scott, that is this boss of all bosses, but in not the greatest way. Okay, we'll just leave it at that. And he loves everyone in his office with the exception of one person. And this one person, his name is Toby. And literally when Toby like walks into like the bullpen, like in the office where everyone else sits, he'll just like look at Toby and just like shake his head and like turns from like this happy, magnanimous guy to like, oh, you son of a, you know. Yeah. So this question is one of the occurrences that happens in that, and that's where this comes. It's meant to be funny, but I think to what we've kind of already alluded to, it also helps to give context to like distilling down why is Cesar the way he is. So that's the question: is why are you the way that you are?
A couple of years ago, my wife and I were having dinners at the end of the year with a group of friends that we have.
Okay.
And one of them invited us to have a reflection.
Okay.
And he said, there's about 5-7 couples.
Yeah.
After dinner, we're having coffee, you know. And he said, if you could go back in time and you were able to change something that will make you better, what would that be? What would you change? Yeah. So, it just happened they started on the other end of the circle, so I was at the other end.
Okay.
So I was the last one.
Okay.
So I was listening to what everybody was saying, and I'm thinking and reflecting and reflecting and reflecting. And then he says, "Okay, what about you?" And I said, "Well, I don't think I'll change anything." And he said, "Oh, come on. There's got to be something, some things that you've done wrong and that you're not proud of." I said, "I didn't say that I'm proud of everything that I've done."
Yeah, but that wasn't the question either.
I said, "Of course, there's a lot of things that I could go back and say, man, I don't even want to talk about that." I said, "But what I realized with this exercise is that the person that I am today is the result of mistakes, errors, and lessons learned."
Yeah.
So some of the talents, some of the gifts, some of the skills, call them whatever you want, that I have now came from a mistake.
Yeah.
Evolved from a difficult situation that I created. And I learned from it.
Yeah.
I said, and I realized that, let's just say that I could go back and change 10 of them. I'll probably make 10 or 20 more in another area, And
Exactly.
I said, so really, I realized that I don't think I'll change anything.
Yeah.
I said, there's a lot of things that I'm not proud of. I said, but I realize that who I am today is a result of a lot of mistakes. But more than the mistakes is what I learned from those mistakes.
Yeah. And how you grew from those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really who I am today. Is a combination of a lot of, learning lessons.
Yeah. Yeah. Both self-inflicted and just what was allowed to happen in your life, right?
Oh, yeah. Most of them I can tell you that, I still remember things that I did when I was very young.
Yeah.
And I remember my parents telling me, "Don't do that because that's not right. That's not morally right. That's a sin or whatever." And I still remember the exact moment when I was about to do what I did, and I knew it was wrong, and I did it anyway.
Yeah.
So I can't. A lot of my mistakes, I cannot blame anybody because I knew exactly what I was doing. And obviously, at that moment, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It took me years to learn from that process.
That's a beautiful response. I've been asked that, not a ton, I'd say probably a couple times, like in very serious, like in this format, one-on-one or in small group, like guys that, are friends, close friends. And I don't. Like, there aren't, like, and it's because of that. Like, I think it takes a certain mentality, right, to recognize, like, well, yeah, if I wanted to go back and change those things, then it would just be a different set of other problems that arose that I would have to work through and grow through, So why? Like, I wouldn't be the man that's standing here in front of you having this conversation without that beautiful painting, right? Because, yeah, in the moment, it absolutely sucks most of the time, right? If not all the time. And yet those things shape you, right? You either respond to them and you grow through them and you look yourself hard in the mirror and go, okay, like, who am I going to be tomorrow, right? Am I going to be a better version than that? Because it's not that hard to go from that to a better version. Or am I just going to succumb? Am I just going to stay in this, whatever, this problem is and, mope there? So awesome. Anything else on
No.
why you are the way you are?
No.
All right. Let's take a break. Hey guys, Eli here from Circa Ignem. Hope you're enjoying this week's guest so far. Just want to take a quick second to invite you to join our online community on all your social media platforms. We'll be sharing wholesome, Christ-centered content, and you can always stay up to date on the latest news and episodes. Listen, like, comment, subscribe, and share with all your friends. Thank you. And we're back. So I need to apologize to Cesar and to the listener because I did not actually read his bio when we first kicked off. So we're going to do that now. So Cesar was born in Mexico, moved to the U.S. at age 23 with his wife and baby Manny. Manny's manning the cameras right now. He's our resident tech. Current resident of Clovis. The plan was not to stay in the U.S., but God works in mysterious ways. He dated his wife for 3.5 years, has been married for 37 years, so about 40.5-year journey. He has one son, again, Manny, 3 daughters, 11 grandkids. I thought that was 12. Oh, no, 11.
12 is a target.
12 is the target. Yeah, Manny and Angelique got that. Has been involved in ministry, always with his wife, for the past 30 years, primarily on leadership roles within the Catholic Church. Some of the experience co-hosted Pueblo de Dios program and multiple appearances in Compartiendo la Palabra program for plus or minus 12 years, Catholic Channel 49. Multiple program appearances over the same period of time with 3 different Catholic radio stations. I'm assuming all in Spanish, right, Cesar?
Correct.
Yeah. And then part of the New Wine graduate program. I actually knew about this before reading through. He and his wife helped with that. After graduation, became the New Wine program coordinator for 4 years. It was an adult lay formation program in the Diocese of Fresno, and it was kind of the entry program for permanent diaconate inquiries and formation. And then for more than 13 years, his wife and he have collaborated with the Office of Ministries from the Diocese of Fresno on youth, marriage prep, family life, adult formation, Congress speakers. 30-plus years of professional experience in leadership roles, as we've been talking about, ranging from supervisor, manager, executive level, and in private sector and nonprofit sector, which he's mentioned he's currently in nonprofit. So, correct?
Correct.
All right. So that clears the air in terms of who Cesar is. All right. So where were you born? What part of Mexico? Because we know that you were born in Mexico.
It's the state of Tamaulipas.
Okay.
Has a border with Texas.
Okay.
Along the Gulf of Mexico.
Okay.
And I was born in a city named Mante, which is about 5 hours away from the border. So that's exactly what I was born.
Okay. What's the earliest memory that you can recall in Monte?
Memories.
Memories.
Well, the earliest memories is, believe it or not, and I don't know how I remember this because there's no pictures. When I was in kindergarten.
Oh.
Playing with...
You're one of those, Cesar.
With some friends. I just don't know how I remember that, but that's the earliest memory. And that place no longer exists, but that's the earliest memory.
Okay. What is it? Like, what do you recall, like, about that?
Well, playing with my friends, it was really close to... where I'm from is... it's surrounded by plantations of sugar cane.
Okay.
So that kindergarten was really close to where they process, and I'm talking maybe a mile away from it,
Yeah.
I don't think you'll see that in the U.S., a place like that close to. But anyway,
should we be all over that?
Yeah. So the smell when they burning, how they process, the cane, to extract the sugar.
Yeah.
That smell. It's not necessarily sweet, but it has a particular smell that I don't know that I can describe, but anyway, it's not bad. It's just that smell.
It's a unique smell.
Yeah, and then the ashes.
Ashes.
It's almost like
because they're burning.
They're burning. So the entire city, it's almost like it's raining, like snowing.
Interesting.
But it's black.
Okay.
It's ashes. It's very typical to see the cars, covered.
Covered.
It's not like a volcano type of thing,
Sure.
But it's
there.
it's there. You can see it. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can see it falling from the sky. You know, and I remember that.
That's awesome. What would it like get overcast from what you recall from the like that cover, or was it just more clear skies, but that was just kind of filtering over by wind? Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it tropical weather.
Sure.
Rains. Well, it used to rain a lot.
Yeah. Not anymore.
Not anymore. It's climate change, you know. But when I was there, when I was little, until I left Mexico, it used to rain a lot.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
So we had, Gerardo and Rick. Yeah. So Gerardo was like throwing down like memories from 3 years old. And I'm like, bro, really? Come on, man.
Well, again, I don't know how it is that I remember that, but I do remember, you know.
And I love you, Gerardo. I just like it's one of those things where and it's more because I have a complex about not having a good memory. So when someone says they remember when they're 3, I'm like, bull crap. Come on, man.
I don't know how old I was, you know. I don't know how old you are when you're in kindergarten, you know. And then I don't remember first and second grade, but I have memories from third grade.
Okay.
Yeah. So again, and I remember the memories that I have are connected to my one of my grandmothers, my mom's mom.
Let's start with the first grade. What's that memory?
First grade?
Yeah.
No, I don't remember first grade, first and second.
Okay.
But I remember then the next early memories are connected to third grade.
Okay.
And what I remember is my teacher,
Gotcha.
which I came in contact with not too long ago. And I recognize her.
Really?
Yeah, this is insane. You know,
That's cool.
I came in contact with her and said, wait a minute. Were you a teacher at this school back in whatever? Yeah, how do you? And then she actually remembered, you know, who I was. Yeah, you used to sit here, you used to look like this, and your mom was this. I go, yeah.
That's fantastic.
So anyway, but beautiful memories, you know, of because my grandma really played the role of my mom.
Yeah.
You know, she became my mom.
Okay.
And then, because I was adopted, you know, and she went beyond the Call of Duty. Not only, I wasn't even, we weren't biologically related, but she really took care of me and my brother. And anyway, she used to bring me lunch every day.
Okay.
And I still remember the little, you know, plastic thing in a little box, you know, that she used to put the lunch in and the sandwich. And I still have pictures of that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was like the highlight meal that she would pack or bring to you?
It was usually sandwiches.
Okay.
Yeah, different ham and sandwich. Sometimes it's just egg, you know, scrambled eggs in a sandwich.
Sure.
And it'd be in this red Tupperware.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still remember that red Tupperware,
awesome.
That she'll bring something in that or little tacos, you know. And I remember she'll sit. I don't know why, you know. I don't know if they were not allowed to walk into school, but I have to walk to the fence of you know that surrounded the school, and she'll on the other side of the fence was a grassy area. She'll sit there, and then she'll pass me the Tupperware, and then I'll eat lunch, and she waited there, and then she'll
move on.
Yeah,
that's beautiful.
Yeah,
gosh dang. If only that existed now. That'd be cool. I guess you could. Yeah. So let me ask you this. Jamie and I talk about this all the time. Is there anything better than a sandwich that someone else makes for you? I feel like I could make the same exact sandwich that Jamie does, but when she makes it, it tastes so much better.
You know what it is?
Back.
Love.
That was like a meatball, dude.
It has a special ingredient called love. You know, because there's my wife over the years learned to cook some of the things that I really enjoy.
Okay.
You know, because she met my grandmother. You know? Yeah. She passed away. She was 97 when she passed away. So anyway, she made it. She really made an effort to cook a couple of dishes that I really like, and she actually, it's almost like I'm eating the same thing that my grandma used to. Yeah, it took her a couple of years to really master that.
Yeah, and
she finally got it, and there's 2 or 3 dishes that she makes, and it's almost like I'm eating the same thing, when I was little.
That's just so
or
great.
growing up.
Yeah. Just perfecting and finally nailed it. That's great.
And simple things, it's really nothing sophisticated.
Yeah, no. But that's honestly, those are the best meals. Like, to me, it's, what did I have recently? Oh, it was like just like a cheddar cheese, tomato, and mayo sandwich. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Really simple. But man, like with fresh tomatoes and just that layer of cheese and cheddar cheese specifically, on like some good bread, it's like simple. Like, you don't need much, for something to really like just be like, this is really enjoyable. Maybe it was also because I was fasting that day.
Well, the thing, a lot of smells, feelings, as we touch things, as we taste them, they're connected with something.
Yeah. That's a good call out. Maybe it's growing up we had that.
Yeah, so, and sometimes they're not connected to something good.
Sure, yeah.
But one positive connection, in my case, is whenever I smell or I taste a homemade tortilla, like coming out of the stove, like fresh, and I smell that and I take the first bite, it never fails.
Yeah.
It takes me back to when I was little. Yeah. Takes me to the kitchen, and I'm waiting for my grandma to pull the first tortilla, and she gives it to me.
Yeah.
It's all, every time I it takes me back. It's not just the tortilla. Yeah. I see her face.
It's the love.
And the love. No, seriously, it's that ingredient, like.
Did I do that right, Cesar?
Yeah. Our subconscious is
powerful.
Full of. Yeah. It's like a software. It's like a computer.
Yeah.
It's been storage and stuff for all this time, and it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It's powerful.
Yeah. So, 3rd grade, like early childhood. Let's get to like the golden years childhood for you. What memories, really stick out for you? What was, what's memorable most?
Well, unfortunately, outside of my grandmother, I grew up in a very dysfunctional family.
Okay.
Not everything that my parents did was wrong. But him being an alcoholic.
Okay.
And my mom was very aggressive.
Okay.
Verbally and physically. That when you're a kid and you're treated that way, that's all you see.
Yeah.
It kind of like blinds you. Of course there's a lot of beautiful memories that I have rescued now that came back after I went through the healing process when I started getting involved in church. But for a long time, I could not remember any of that. My memories were all the abuse that I experienced, that my dad not being present for the most part, always working and drinking. My mom, beating me up, treating me literally like a dog. And so that really didn't allow me to see some of the good things that we're doing. So my early childhood, it's full of a lot of not so happy memories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I shouldn't assume golden years in the childhood. I'm sorry, Cesar. That's rough. But you mentioned healing.
Yeah.
So of the ones through the healing power of Jesus, right, through the church, what did kind of come back that are beautiful?
Well, I remember when a couple years ago, we go to Mexico a lot. Mm-hmm. My mom's still alive. She's the only one left.
Okay.
And my dad used to take pictures. He was really good at taking pictures. I don't know if he took classes or not, but he was good. Yeah. And then he had this black and white, hundreds of pictures. And he was really good at putting them together and creating these albums and things like that. So anyway, I told my wife, you know what, I really need to get some of those pictures before they get lost.
Yeah.
So I told my brother, look, I'm going to Mexico and this is what I'm doing. I need, please bring those things and I want to start, I'm going to go through all of them. And if it's okay with you, I want to take some of those pictures.
Yeah.
So I went through hundreds and hundreds of pictures. And it's me and my wife going through pictures, and my brother is sitting with us. And it's almost like going back in time. Because my dad did it in a chronological order. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like everything was, I realized, it's almost like I'm watching a movie.
Oh.
And it's almost like everything was beautiful until when I was 11, 12, then the pictures stopped. No more pictures.
Interesting.
But when I'm doing that, it's just out of the blue, I start crying. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't stop it. Yeah. And my wife looks at me like, what's going on? Are you okay? I said, I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't stop, And my brother had no clue, but I don't think he realized that he noticed that I was even crying.
Yeah.
And my mom was on the other side of the room, and then, my wife and I didn't talk until afterwards. And she says, what happened?
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? I just realized that not everything was bad. There were pictures of me with my dad playing baseball. There were pictures of me with my dad going to the zoo, with my mom going to the beach, doing a lot of things as a family.
Yeah.
But then the alcohol got on the way, and then, I really don't know what happened.
Yeah.
But that experience allowed me to it's almost like I was rewinding a tape, a movie.
Yeah.
And I brought back with me a lot of pictures, but if I was able to experience that, it's because, I went through the healing process as an adult. Mm-hmm. But I didn't see any of that when I was there. It was there. I just didn't see it. Mm-hmm. I was so broken that it just, I could not see it.
Yeah. What, couple questions, follow-up questions. Why was your dad so meticulous about the chronological and the photography? Do you know why?
No, I really, my dad was always gone. I left the country when I was 23. Obviously, I was going back, sometimes 3 times a year. Mm-hmm. But when I was there, he was gone drinking.
Gotcha.
When we found out that he had cancer, and we were told that he only had 9 months to a year to leave, I have to make a decision. What do I do? It's just, I'm in another country, 3,000 miles away or less.
Yeah.
So, should I just wait until they call me and he's dead?
Yeah.
9 months to a year, what do I do?
Yeah.
So, I said, you know what? I could just keep going business as usual, or I can try to connect with him in this 9 months, 12 months that he has left. So I talked to my wife. I said, you know what? I need to find a way to connect with my dad.
Yeah.
This is an opportunity. Mm-hmm. So I talked to my boss and I said, look, this is what's going on. Yeah. I need to be able to go see my dad every so often. He's dying.
Yeah.
And they said, no worries. Go and we'll pay you.
Wow. Where were you at this point in your career? Where were you working?
I was working with American River Package Line, the manufacturing company.
Yeah.
And they said, take all the time you need.
That's wonderful.
As often as you need.
Yeah.
And don't worry about it.
That's awesome.
So in 9 months, I think I made 4 trips.
Okay.
And each one of those trips ranged between a week to 3 weeks.
Okay.
And I said, I have to build some memories with my dad.
Yeah.
So I remember one time, this is towards now the end. Mm-hmm. And I said, Dad, what do you want to do? He said, I want to eat an ice cream. So okay, let's go get some ice cream. Yeah. He said, yeah, but I want to eat it under a tree. I go, oh, let's go find a tree. We'll eat ice cream under a tree. Well, the tree that he wanted was 45 minutes away from the city we're from, Appen, in the mountains. I go, oh, okay. I go, there's got to be something special about this tree. So it's a specific tree. It's not, no, and it was. Yeah. So we bought an ice cream, which... We ate it.
I was going to say, how does that last for 45 minutes getting to the tree?
And this place called Gomez Farias. It's a small little village, little town, and we bought another ice cream there.
Okay.
And then he said, follow this road. Okay. And I drove for miles, and that's the tree. Park here. I never knew is this where you met my mom? Is this where you met a girlfriend? What? I have no idea. Yeah. So we sat under that tree, had the ice cream, and took a picture. And that's the last picture I have of my dad.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So another time he said, I want to go to the movies. Okay. He loved going to the movies. Yeah. That was one thing I remember for sure. Going a lot to the movies. Black and white, by the way. And all English with subtitles.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, so in Mexico. So we went to the movies. And then he said, can I get some candies? I go, Dad, you can get whatever you want. And I still remember, he was so excited like a little kid. I want one of this, I want one of those, I want one of that. And he ate everything while we were watching the movie.
He's literally a kid.
Yeah, I know he was.
He's loving, embracing life right now. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I was able to but he was quiet the whole time. Okay. He was dying. Mm-hmm. Cancer was...
What kind of cancer?
Well, it started with prostate cancer.
Mm. Okay.
But we didn't know. Mm. He knew he had cancer. He just didn't tell us.
Okay.
So it ended up going everywhere.
Gotcha.
And by the time we found out it was terminal, there was nothing they could do.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so it was very difficult for me, because even though we connected in different ways, he was a very quiet person. And my dad passed away, and I had so many questions with no answers. Mm. And I felt like I was not able to help him. Yeah. So it took me years with my wife's help, to understand, hey, you know what? He decided to leave like that, and there was an accident that he experienced, a car accident, and his best friend died in that accident on his arms. And my mom used to say that when that happened, that's when he started to drink.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, when I was watching that tape of
Photos. Yeah.
Because it's you can if you follow the trail is like it stops.
Yeah.
There's no more pictures.
Interesting.
I mean, I'm talking hundreds, if not more than 1,000 pictures of years and years and years and years, and then
Hard
comes to a
stop.
stop.
Yeah.
And my dad was never the same after that experience. And my mom said that's when he started, when he became an alcoholic.
Gotcha.
He just didn't know how to cope with that.
Yeah. Wow. Did you feel like that time that you did spend with your dad, was there any sort of healing, even though he wasn't necessarily communicating with you and was still, removed, so to speak, wasn't really like opening up? Did that heal you in some way?
Yeah, because I forgave my dad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Many
Many years prior to that.
Okay.
And for that matter, my parents.
Yeah.
Because they were the ones that adopted me.
Okay.
Because I also have to go through the healing process with my biological parents.
Right.
So, but I forgave all of them, years prior to that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that was kind of like a closure thing, like I always wanted to have the relationship with him, and he didn't allow my mom to come over to the U.S. and visit. It wasn't until my dad passed away that my mom said, okay, now get me a passport. I want to go visit you. And
like,
that's when my mom
ready.
started coming over here.
Yeah.
Because, he was alive, and he told me, as long as I'm alive,
she's not coming up.
she's not coming over.
Yeah. Why was that? Do you know why?
I think my dad, because when I came to the U.S., I came with what my biological dad is the one that brought me over,
Okay.
whom I met when I was around 14, 15. He's the one that brought me over after college. And I honestly believe, even though I told him, look, I'm doing this because I want what's best for me and my family, I think, even though it was not my intention, I think I hurt, I broke his heart.
Oh.
And I don't know that he was ever able to recover from that.
Gotcha.
That was never my intention. In fact, I wasn't going to stay.
Right.
I was supposed to come here for a year, maybe 2 years, and then go back to Mexico.
Yeah.
And he never said that to me. That's just my assumption.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, I think that's what happened.
Yeah.
My mom, she vocalized that to me.
Yeah.
But not him.
Okay.
He was always very reserved, very quiet when it came to stuff like that.
Gotcha. So, with your mom, who's still alive, correct?
Yeah, she's still alive.
So not biological, your adopted mom.
Yes,
correct?
my adopted mom, yeah.
How did that healing process, transpire? What did that look like for you?
It was difficult.
Yeah.
It was not easy. It took me years to forgive my mom.
Okay.
My dad, my dad was not there. He was an alcoholic, but compared to what my mom did physically and emotionally, it was nothing.
Yeah.
So it took me years to forgive my mom, and I mean, I never stopped talking to her. I've never stopped helping my parents. Never.
Sure.
I didn't allow that to stop that. But it took me years to heal and forgive my mom.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I did it because it was the best thing for me.
Yeah.
And to today's day, my mom has never shown any regrets, has never acknowledged that she did anything wrong. Now, I'm actually enjoying the mom that I wanted to enjoy for a long time because she's in her mid-80s. She's been dealing with dementia.
Okay.
And one of the positive outcomes of this thing is that she turned into a very sweet lady.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm actually enjoying this new version of my mom.
Okay.
And I don't know how that happened.
Yeah.
But what I'm learning from this experience is that inside of her, or inside of every human being, there's a good side of us.
Yes.
And I'm actually thankful.
Yeah.
And okay, this is what God's allowing me to experience right now. I'm going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And for the most part, as time passes by, she doesn't remember. She knows who I am, but she doesn't remember anything about it. She doesn't know. She doesn't remember that I'm married. She doesn't remember that I have kids. She doesn't remember the names. If you're there, oh, okay, this is my son. Oh, okay, but then she.
A few minutes later, it's
I have a conversation with her. I give her a call, let's say right now, and 30 minutes later, I give her a call. This is almost like we never talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, but every single time, if I talk to her 3 or 4 times a day, every single time she tells me, I love you. I'm praying for you, and God bless you. And then
praise God.
I was a Boy Scout.
Okay.
And one of the things I didn't mention in my routine is that one prayer that I've been praying since I was a Boy Scout is a prayer that I learned when I was a Boy Scout. Because Boy Scout, that program was part of if you were, getting your preparation to do your first communion, that particular parish, you'll be in the Boy Scout group.
Yep.
So, and
when Boy Scouts were like manly.
Yeah. So I learned that prayer, which my dad framed. They gave it to me. That was engraved on a piece of leather, and my dad engraved that. Mounted that on a piece of wood, and I still have that.
That's awesome.
So he gave it to me, and I've been praying it since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I still remember one of my memories. I'm at the church where he was baptized, meaning Manny, and I still see myself kneeling down, getting ready for my first communion. Then I go home and I tell my mom that when I get older, when I become an adult, I want to be a priest. My mom was so upset.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she was not happy. She told me, "No, what is wrong with you?" And I was, oh, okay.
I guess that's not happening.
Yeah, that's not happening. Yeah, no. It was.
Wow.
Yeah, I still remember her reaction.
Yeah.
And when I started getting involved in church, she was never open to talk about God, and she actually asked me not to talk to her about God.
Okay.
And not such a nice way.
Yeah.
And so now, God has given me an opportunity to enjoy a person that I wanted to enjoy when I was little.
Yeah.
So I'm going to enjoy it.
What a sweet consolation.
Yes.
Like, how good is God? Like, maybe not perfect timing.
Yeah.
But he's giving you to exactly what you called out, like, the sweetness that always was in her, that always has been in her, that in her own woundedness, she had set up these barriers and clearly had a deep impact on you, is now being revealed and at least giving you, maybe not in the right order, but at the same time, like this beautiful, version of her that almost in some sense, it's like the last taste, right? Like, once she passes on, you've seen the best version of her and not have the painful, wounded, memory of early or, young child, memories. Yeah, that's awesome. Your story about priesthood too, that's something that I want to call out in this conversation, because I think as parents, we need to be very careful when our children come to us about vocations, and all of them, not just priesthood, to encourage it. You know what I'm saying? Show, like, be joyful and hopeful in that, and not that response, because that response could shut down 1,000 generations, you know, of impact of souls. You know, like, you clearly are meant to be married. You know, you clearly, that's been God's, you know, vocation for you. But how many men that were supposed to be priests have been dissuaded by that same reaction, right? Where, you know, one parent all of a sudden flies off the handle because, no, you're the firstborn son. You're not supposed to do that because we need the line to carry on, or take your pick of whatever example. It's like, gosh, you know, can we just not? Can we just encourage vocations, please? Even if inside you're dying as a parent.
I'll tell you what, I truly believe that I know that God has a plan.
Mm-hmm.
But when I met my wife, who now is my wife,
Oh,
I was very persistent.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I was about to turn 18. And finally she said, okay, I'm going to be your girlfriend. You're good. She said, but under one condition. Yeah, whatever. And then she said, you have to go to church with me.
Nice.
I go, what? Yeah, you have to go to church with me. You mean on Sunday to Mass? Yeah, but not just that. I'm in a youth group.
Mm.
And if you want me to be your girlfriend, that's the condition.
Yeah.
That you go to the youth group with me.
I already love your wife, by the way.
Every Saturday. and I said, yeah, why not? I'll go to church.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Of course, what I wasn't going to say no.
Yeah.
And I wasn't serious about it.
Okay.
I'll be lying if I say that I wasn't.
Yeah.
Just because I like the girl.
Yeah. Like,
whatever.
well, if that's what it takes,
go to
cool.
church. Yeah, I'll go to church.
I'll give you lip service.
Yeah, exactly. So, not knowing.
Yeah. God knew. He's like, I got you, bro.
So, yeah. So, I started going to church with her, to the youth group. And honestly, for the most part that we were dating, of the 3.5 years, I think in the first 2 years I was living like a double life.
Oh.
Because I didn't want anybody to know that I was going to church.
Okay.
Because I wanted to be popular. I was the quarterback of the football team.
Okay.
That just did not.
Yeah.
You know, that's not. I did not want people. I mean, for the most part, nobody in my circle knew that I was going to church, that I was in a youth group. Yeah. And I'm not lying to you. There were many times where, because the youth group was also the choir.
Okay.
During Mass.
Yeah.
So I will always find the last chair closest to the wall where nobody could see me. And then the youth group will also serve, there were lectors. Mm-hmm. And guess what? Everybody has to do it. Mm-hmm. There were maybe once or twice where I recognized somebody in the church, you know, that was there in the audience. And I ran away. Even though I was supposed to be and I don't know what lie I came out with. I don't remember, but so I
just said, nope, no, not happening.
Not today. Yeah. So that was my
awesome.
encounter with God. You know? Those are my beginnings in ministry. You know, I was a hypocrite. I was living. But at the same time, God was touching me. Yeah. At the same time, in my imperfection, God was speaking to me. Yeah. Yeah, and that was the beginning. Yeah. Yeah.
Running away.
Running away. Running away. Trying to run away from God, Yeah.
The beauty of a woman that just knows what she wants.
Mm-hmm.
And she just said, hey, yeah, I'll be your girlfriend, but this is going to be preeminent, That's awesome.
And then from that moment on, my wife has played, and she's been very instrumental. She's been God's hand, that, and she's very strong when it comes to that, and she's not perfect, but that's why we name Manny Emmanuel, because we both agree that God is going to be with us from now on.
Nice.
We may not always be in our best behavior, but He's going to be with us.
Yeah.
And we made a decision that that's how it's going to be.
That's awesome. Let's jump back a little bit because we've jumped around a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Anything? So you mentioned, when did you meet? And I apologize. What's your wife's name again? Maricela. So you met her when you said 18, 17, 18?
I was about to turn 18.
Okay, about to turn 18. Anything before meeting Maricela that sticks out in terms of memories?
More pain.
I love that you're looking at me and you're smiling while you're like, more pain.
Well, because that's when I think I'm about to turn 15 maybe. And that's when I accidentally discovered that my parents were not my biological parents.
Oh, so they had not told you?
No, there was an argument in the family, and I overheard. So when I asked my mom, she could have lied to me.
Yeah.
And I would have believed her.
Yeah.
But her emotions were all over the place, and she said, yeah, I'm not your mom. Not biological mom.
Yeah.
So then who's my mom? Yeah. Then she told me, which I thought she was my aunt.
Okay.
And I always had a special connection with her.
Okay.
I didn't know, I guess I met my dad once or twice, but I really vaguely remember him. But until they told me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I think I remember that guy. But, so I went and talked to my biological mom. And I said, I know that you're my real mom. And she immediately fell, got on her knees, starts crying, and said, forgive me. Because out of all my children, you're the one that I've hurt the most. And then she said something that probably she really didn't have to say, and she said, I tried to abort you twice. Oh. At that moment, I did not know how much that was going to impact me.
Yeah.
So anyway, I was already I was in a lot of pain for all the things I was living in a very dysfunctional family.
Yeah.
And then I found out that, okay, you're not my biological parents. These are my biological parents. And oh, by the way, your dad left and didn't care about you. And by the way, I wanted to abort you twice. And oh, by the way, then when you were born, I gave you away.
Yeah.
So all of that was like a lot.
Just like kicking you.
Oh yeah,
repeatedly.
I mean, I'm a teenager.
Yeah.
I already very upset with life.
Yeah.
I'm full of anger.
Sure.
And that didn't help.
Yeah.
So
what did you turn to once like you had that conversation with your biological mom? You said more pain. Obviously, that's extremely painful. Mm-hmm. The natural human response is to direct that pain into something else or someone else or other things.
I used to get involved in a lot of fights.
Okay.
I didn't care.
Yeah. Just release the rage.
Yeah, and it didn't matter if I was going to win the fight or not. I mean, it was so stupid that I got into fights with 3 or 4 guys at the same time, you know. I thought that dating a lot of girls will take the pain away. I mean, obviously, you don't know what you're doing at that time.
For sure.
Drugs, I've never done any drugs at all. 0 drugs. I started to drink when I was very young, and right before I met my wife, I was drinking a lot.
Okay.
A lot. I mean, I was drinking a lot, and then one day I said, "Wait a minute, what am I doing?
Yeah.
This is not the answer."
Yeah.
And that's exactly when I met her.
Okay.
And then from the moment I met her, there was something. There was a connection to the point that I went home with a friend of mine and said, "Look, I think this is a girl." He goes, "What do you mean it's a girl?" He goes, "Yeah, I think this is the one I'm going to marry."
Yeah.
I mean, I'm 17.
Yeah.
He goes, "What is wrong with you? What do you mean you're going to marry her? You just met her. She's not even your girlfriend." I go, "I don't know. I think this is the one." Yeah. Obviously, if you ask my wife how she felt, I hope I never talk to this guy again. You know?
Yeah.
I don't want to see him again. You know,
Yeah.
She felt completely opposite. You know, and by the way, she was on her way to become a nun.
Really?
That day we met at a disco place.
Okay.
She was going to, the next day she was going to go, I think it was her 3rd retreat of discernment. And that was the final retreat. And then decide, now you go to a convent and now you get it, you know. Yeah. Now let's make this formal.
Yeah.
And she told me, and I said, "No, don't go." "No, I have to go." "No, come on.
Let's have fun.
Let's have fun." I go, "Let's go." I run every day at 6:00, and I was so persistent that I convinced her not to go to the retreat. Yeah. And that call ended there, thanks to me. Yeah.
So, what order was she?
Don't know. I can't remember.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know that we ever talked about that, but.
And it might not have been a specific order. It might have just been, you know, like, again, just exploring, you know, discerning, all of that.
And she was with a group of friends from the youth group.
Okay.
And some were exploring, you know, becoming a priest. It wasn't just to becoming a nun, a religious sister.
Right.
And there were 2 guys and 3 ladies with her.
Okay.
All the other 4 that went, the 2 became a priest and the 2 ladies became nuns.
That's so awesome. That's so great.
So I think, you know, I think God probably, now I'm going to teach you a lesson.
Yeah. But it's also a testament to, you said it, persistence. You know, it's like, well, no, especially if you say that out loud at 17 years old to a friend of yours, I think I'm going to marry her. Like, that's a pretty serious thing. I never said that when I was 17. I guarantee to you.
And honestly, you know, and this is how I met my wife.
Yeah.
I knew most of her family. And that night she was with her sister, which I knew.
Okay.
And she was right behind her. And I say, "Hey, hi, how are you?" And I go, "Hey, who's that?" "Oh, that's my sister." I didn't even ask. I didn't even introduce myself. I said, "Move out of the way." And I grabbed my wife's hand. And next thing we're doing is dancing on the floor. And she's like, "Okay, what's going on here? Who's this guy?" And
can someone please save me?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. She used to say, "Well, you know," I go, "You know what? You didn't walk away. You could have said goodbye." Yeah. I go, "You stay there." It's not like I had a gun pointed at her. I go,
you like the attention.
Yeah, you like the attention. So we danced and talked for 2-3 hours.
That's great.
And then she agreed to go exercise with me next morning at 6:00 in the morning. And that night is when I said, you know, I think this is the one. Yeah. I don't know why, honestly. There was something.
Well, now you do.
Yeah. But I felt something that I never felt before. And I honestly, at that moment, at that point, I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
She was just different.
Yeah.
And she didn't say anything about church until later.
Yeah.
when she said, "Oh, I think I'm actually going to say yes," but now I have to set the boundaries. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and thanks be to God she did. Right? Like, thanks be to God that she had already been discerning and exploring, and she knew, okay, if I'm discerning that, if this is going to become a reality, if marrying you, Cesar, is going to be a reality, then you've got to be a man of God, because I was chasing Jesus,
Yeah,
and marrying him, making vows to him. So if we're going to be serious, you need to commit. You know, she's not back. She wasn't going to back down from that. You know, that's awesome. Anything else in that you want to share? Highlights. Okay, so you meet, you start dating. That's right. So 17, 18. So there's 5 years between there before marriage, or are you married before moving to the U.S.?
No, we married almost 3.5 years after.
Okay.
Yeah, I was about to turn 21.
Okay.
She's a year older than me.
Okay.
So she finished college, and then I was done. I was 20 when I was done with my degree.
Okay.
And in September, I believe, I graduated. And
Dang,
then
you were 20 when you finished your degree?
Huh?
You were 20 when you finished your degree?
Almost 21. Yeah, and I did it in 3.5 years.
That's legit.
I did not take any vacations. I didn't take any summer off. I
ground through it.
And I was working. I had a full-time job and 2 part-time jobs to pay for my college.
Dang. What was your focus?
Accounting.
Okay.
Yeah. I first wanted to become a mechanical engineer.
Okay.
And I spent 2 semesters trying to do that because that's what my parents wanted me to do, and that was not my thing. That was not my thing. And I go, no, I don't know why I tried it. It didn't. I got kicked out of college because
Really?
I could not pass physics.
See, this is why I love these conversations. So did I. I got kicked out of college too.
Yeah?
Yeah. Not because I was throwing ragers and jumping off of roofs of houses. But anyways.
Yeah, and I was more interested in having fun, really.
Yeah.
It was, engineering was not my thing.
Sure.
I mean, for sure.
Yeah.
But what didn't help is that I was having too much fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was in a big city and having enjoying the big city and the college life and yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, and I swear, there's something about if your focus of study is not something that at least halfway interests you, then yeah, it's like you're going to find any other thing to distract you from doing that. Yeah. So like if mechanical engineering, you're like, this is not, what I'm made for. Yeah, no, not happening. Okay. All right. So you finished your degree between 2021
mm-hmm.
and then you and Maricela tie the knot.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like? Build up. So when did you propose to her?
How?
How and when? Because was it a year-long engagement? What was
about a year. Yeah,
okay.
I think after 2.5 years of dating,
yeah.
There wasn't like one day, like in the movies. There were candles and music. No, there wasn't like that. We just talked about it, and little by little, it became a conversation.
Yeah.
And it was just a dialogue, and there was no. In fact, we went to a fair.
Okay.
And then she liked a ring, and then we came back. The fair was like a week long. So before the fair ended, we bought the ring, and I gave her the ring, and then.
Okay, so it's just like pretty like natural, normal. There wasn't any sort of like
organically evolve,
okay.
And then we talked about it, and then we were both working,
mm-hmm.
and we both were working. We both were going to college and paying for education and
mm-hmm.
saving money to get married.
Yeah.
So and that's what we did, and
yeah. So in terms of faith, what was going on during this period of time for you?
I'm kind of like. Not 100% in.
Was the double life still there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, my real conversion happens when I when I moved to the U.S.
Okay.
Yeah. That experience really took me to another level, and that's when my wife has never stopped.
Yeah.
My wife has been very persistent.
Mm-hmm.
It was me.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and so no, I wasn't convinced yet.
Yeah.
That I really want to be involved in church.
It makes sense. It's so funny. Manny and I and Rick had this conversation. Like you talked earlier on in our conversation about being like super drawn to the rosary for a long period of time, and then you move on, right? Like you kind of change the way that you spend time, you know, in prayer. And this is a roundabout way of getting to what you just shared. It very much ties into, there's something about like men. I don't know why we take the most circuitous route possible, but I went through this period of time where I really struggled with the rosary. I really struggled with praying it, but I know its efficacy. I know how powerful of a prayer it is, right? And like making the analogy between like working out, right, and prayer. I would make excuses about not praying the rosary, like I'm just not feeling it. It just doesn't do anything for me, right? And then, but I wouldn't make the same excuse for my like workout discipline, right? It was like, no, you got to keep showing up. Doesn't matter how you're feeling about it. Like in order to be healthy, you need to keep doing it, right? Whether you feel it or not, it's a discipline, right? And that resistance, at some level, I feel like as men, and please disagree with me all you want. You have way more turns around the sun than I. I just feel like there's always this like resistance to something like faith because it seems weak or timid, right? It presents itself, not that it is. It's very much the opposite of that in my 40 some odd years now. It's extremely manly and it's extremely radical. It's extremely just raw, and yeah, just relating to like what you're sharing, where it's like there's just this resistance of like I don't want to be that, like that doesn't make sense, and I don't know why. Like I think there's still that question in prayer that I'm taking to God of why do I resist this so much, in terms of like wanting to just like fully trust you, because it's to exactly how you explained with like the choir, where you'd see certain people and you're like, no, I'm running, I'm out, like I don't want them to know that I'm this guy. Yeah. So okay, so you guys move up here. You and Maricela are same age, I'm assuming. Okay, much, yeah. So you guys move here. What was the motivating factor moving from Mexico?
Well, my biological dad, he had moved to the U.S., many years before,
Who you hadn't had much contact with?
No, I didn't know who he was, really. And when he found out that I knew that he was my biological dad, he approached me.
Okay.
This is, I'm about to go to college, and he approached me, but he didn't talk to me about coming here. It wasn't until he knew that trying to become an accountant.
Okay.
He said, hey, you know what? I have a business in the U.S. I have a ranch in Mexico, and I want to open up this and that businesses. I think it'd be great if you can, after you're done with college, move to the U.S., learn the business, and then help me to start what I want to do in Mexico. And I said, nope, I'm not interested.
Okay.
And then he talked to me again. I said no. So he talked to me maybe 3-4 times while I was in college. After I graduated, he talked to me about it again. But now I have a family. Now, my ideas are changing. I said, well, why not So I talked to him and I said, okay, yeah, but how are we going to do that? I go, I can travel to the U.S. as a tourist, but how am I going to work?
Yeah.
He says, don't worry about it. I'll apply for you, and for you and your wife, and if that's what you want to do. And I said, okay. So he did, and so we came to the U.S. and we landed on a Friday, and Monday we went with the lawyer, and then we went to what used to be called the INS, and we were given our first. It wasn't a green card; it was a different card,
Yeah.
And so we were legally, we had a permit to work.
Yeah.
So.
Hello, friends. I want to tell you a little bit about our First Fruits movement. What we do first in everything matters. It sets the trajectory of whatever action we take. In Leviticus, God tells Moses to share with the Israelites that they must bring forth the first fruits of their livestock, of their produce, and of their drink. The fulfillment of this is found in Jesus himself. He is the firstborn of the Father. He is the first man to conquer death. He is the first to ascend into heaven. Before Jesus' ministry, he would run to Mary for guidance and counsel. So why would I not do the same? What can you do to participate? Commit to praying the rosary daily, invite other men and women to join you, and share the movement with your friends on social media and other communication platforms. What can you do to support us here at Circa Ignem and First Fruits? First, pray for us and our mission daily, and second, buy our hats and future merch at circaignem.com. That's CIRCAIGNEM.com. Thank you.
But then I get to know this person, and had no values, no ethics.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Not a good person.
Okay.
In many, many different ways.
Gotcha.
So I did not like how he conducted himself, how he conducted business, and I told him that I did not want to be part of it. So this is like 9 months after, arriving to the U.S.
What year is this at this point, Cesar?
Early 80s.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, mid 80s.
Yeah.
86, something like that. And then he did not know that my wife and I have talked, and we're going to go back to Mexico.
Okay.
Because my wife kept telling me, you know what, hey, let's go back. We have our degrees. We've done well in Mexico. We don't need this.
Yeah.
Let's just go back.
Mm-hmm.
So I told him, hey, I'm leaving. And he said, he assumed that I was going to stay. We were going to stay. So then he tells me, without me, you're nobody. And you're not going to make it.
Jeez.
So then I told my wife, we're staying.
Yeah.
I'm going to prove this guy that
motivator.
Without him, I'm going to make it.
Yeah.
And, of course, he said, no.
Yeah.
No, we're not staying. We're going back to Mexico. Yeah. And I said, no, we're staying. Anyway, somehow I convinced my wife against her will.
One of the few, if not the only time.
Again. And so we stayed.
Yeah.
And a new painful experience begins.
Okay.
Now I'm finding myself surviving, working on the fields. We have no place to live. We have $425. It's just every day I'll get up and trying to see who can hire me to pick whatever, and at that point we did not know that our degrees were good in the U.S. At that point, later we went back to school. We both got master's degrees. My wife actually has 2 masters. But before we got there, it was,
grinding.
It was painful.
Yeah. So did your biological father, try to, I'm assuming he tried to mess with the green card and do what he could to get those? Oh, no. Okay.
No, he did not do that.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that was already done, and then he didn't do that.
Okay.
He
left it alone.
Yeah, and he just disappeared.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Wow.
it wasn't until years later that I decided to reconnect with him because, again, now I'm in church and now I'm going through the healing process.
Right.
That I decided to reconnect with him, which until he died, he did not value any of that.
Yeah.
30 years passed by and he never once stopped hurting me.
Wow.
But I forgive him,
Yeah.
even though I knew he was going to hurt me.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
God bless you. So, lots of pain. So you're grinding it out. You're finding work wherever you can, essentially, at this point. Yeah. When did you, I guess, what was the route in terms of figuring out, oh, okay, our degrees do work here. How did that get connected, and how did you kind of make that jump into leveraging that into something that was a little more stable, for the family?
Well, both my wife and I were working. My wife was working in manufacturing. I was working in manufacturing, and my wife's experience is a little bit different. She's the one. Thanks to her, is that we discovered this. She ended up talking to a person, and this person realized that she had a degree, and said, "Wait a minute, what are you doing? Why don't you go? Why don't you use your degree here?"
Yeah.
Oh, because we were told that we're not good. No. I don't know who said that to you, but that's not right.
Yeah.
So anyway, he made an appointment. She connected my wife with somebody at Fresno State just to find out that the curriculum that was used for my wife's degree in Mexico was actually created in Fresno State. So my wife's degree was immediately accepted.
Yeah.
And then she was encouraged to go back, and she went back and ended up getting 2 masters.
Nice. Masters in what?
In counseling.
Okay.
For K through 12 and higher ed.
Okay.
One for K through 12 and one for higher ed.
And one for higher ed. Okay.
And me was later.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But,
so where'd you land with your accounting degree?
well, now, I realized that I had I was working in manufacturing, and I realized that I could make a career into operations.
Okay.
And I saw that, and I saw that I had the ability to do it, so I did that. And in that process, the CEO of the company and owner, by accident, discovered that I had a degree in accounting, and said, "We're wasting his talent." Mm-hmm. And he opens the door for me and brings me in, and then but they asked me if I want to go into accounting. I said, no, I want to stay in operations.
Nice.
So then they opened the door for me, and then I move up and move up and move up and move up.
Yeah. What's going on church and faith-wise at this point between you and Maricela?
Oh, now now we're involved in church.
Okay.
That experience of coming here and starting from the very bottom, and I mean, all our furniture and everything the first pieces of furniture that we had, the first washer, the first dryer, I literally picked it up from the dumpster, from the. I used to go around.
Wow.
And found the first TV we had. I found it in a dumpster.
Yeah.
The first bed that my daughter used and Manny used, it was a piece of cushioning that I pulled out of the trash, and my wife fixed it, and that's where they slept.
Yeah. On the ground. Did it have a frame?
Yeah. There was no crib, no bed, nothing.
Yeah.
We slept on the floor for a year.
Yeah.
We didn't have a car.
Yeah.
I used to, when I was working in manufacturing, I had a bike. It was raining and cold, and I did that for like a year and a half.
Yeah.
I pick up cans and glass and plastic. I threw paper. I did a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
At one point, I had 2 full-time jobs working for 2 different manufacturing plants, so we could save enough money to buy a house. Well, the down payment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which manufacturing plants?
One of them was Duncan Ceramics.
Okay.
I think they're still in business.
They're still in business.
Yeah, and the other one was the American River.
Yeah, I drive by them every morning. Yeah. I don't know if it's the same one, but they're off of Shields and Clovis.
Yeah. My wife worked there for like 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah, and I worked there only a year, But we need to buy a house. We need to do something better for our kids, and because we were living in a very bad neighborhood, and I didn't want my kids to be exposed to that. So we bought our first house 3 years after moving to the U.S.
Yeah. So 26.
Yeah.
That is
26,
awesome.
27.
Yeah. Where'd you buy your first house?
Southeast Fresno.
Okay. Before it got all gnarly.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Man, he's cracking up.
Yeah.
Okay. 2 full-time jobs. What were you doing at Duncan Ceramics?
Just general labor.
Yeah.
Packing and helping, anything,
Yeah. Night? Were you doing that night?
No, there I was working during the day. And my other job was
night.
night. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This type of conversation fires me up. I know it was painful, so I'm not, glorifying the suffering and the pain, that you're, but just the will, what I'm saying? The will to go, we're going to make this happen. We're going to make this work. It just Jamie and I have, similar. I don't want to say really that similar, but similar in terms of there's something Rick has said this, and it's really resonated to me. It's there is a big difference in marriages when you marry and you build something together early. So you marry young, relatively speaking, versus couples that come together when they're more established and you've kind of have separately built your own stuff and then you marry. Mm-hmm. You get where I'm going? There's just, there's such a beautiful, and you've already talked about it at length in terms of yours and Maricela's relationship, in terms of all that pain, all that struggle, all the joys, right? Because there are joys in there. There are a lot of joys. But all that adventure just makes you that much tighter, right? Having to build stuff together and struggle through it and work as a team. And yes, not perfect most of the time, very imperfect. But at the same time, now looking back to exactly what you've already mentioned, it's all of that built into who you are, right? All of that struggle, all of that suffering, really, you can't look back and go, oh man, I have certain regrets in terms of these decisions. It's no, that shaped the trajectory of so many other things that came into fruition.
Yeah, because you know what? I'm 24. Mm-hmm. My wife, we have a baby. Mm-hmm. There's another baby on the way. Mm-hmm. We have $425. We don't have a place to live. Yeah. We're in another country. Yeah. We don't speak the language. Yeah. We don't understand the society. Yeah. And I'm telling my wife we're gonna make it. It's and she said, "What do you mean we're gonna make it? Look, we have no money. We don't speak English. Well, what do you mean? What do you mean we're gonna make it?" Yeah. And I said, "I don't know, but we're gonna make it." Yeah. And you know what? Now, when I started going to church, when I allow God to come into my life, I have learned one thing. That somehow I have learned to use pain into the motivation to accomplish something. Yeah. And I thought, you know what, if I was able to do that without having God in my life, God was there. I just did not know that.
Yeah.
But now that I'm aware that God is here, imagine what I can do.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, one thing I always tell my kids when they're struggling with challenges in life, I always tell them, you know, use it as a fuel.
Yeah.
To take you to the next thing. And this is not all bad, you know. There's something good can come out of this. And because my wife and I, we often do this. Our marriage, or our life together has been like a roller coaster, up and down, up and down.
Yeah.
But every down, when it went up, it went to a higher level.
Yeah.
And then another down going up went to a higher level.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like every painful situation has made us stronger.
Yeah.
Because we choose to use that pain. We choose to use that challenge to turn into a learning lesson and become a better version of ourselves.
Yeah.
That's really, we have concluded that somehow God has given us the ability to do that.
Yeah.
And I still do it. Every time there's something painful.
Yeah.
Okay, what can I get out of this?
Yeah. How can I embrace this? Yeah.
I mean, I don't look forward to pain.
No.
But I mean, it's like, oh yeah, I'm in love with pain. No, but when it's there,
Yeah.
it hurts, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah.
And do I have my doubts? Of course.
Yeah.
But then, you know, like, okay, what can I get out of this?
Yeah.
Let's use it. Let's use this.
Yeah.
Let's use it, and
Instead of running away from it.
yeah.
Instead of going, I just want to get rid of this pain. I just want to, it's like, well, yeah, we want to get rid of the pain, but let's use it to your point, propel us
Yeah.
into what I could potentially become out of
Yeah.
this, Yeah. What's the next, what sticks out next wise? I feel like my questions, I'm going to just kind of let you kind of lead the conversation here. I'll just ask questions to keep moving chronologically. So, $425. Manny's here. You got another one on the way. What's next? What happens?
You know what? I was very blessed that the family that owned that American River decided to adopt me, professionally speaking,
Yeah.
and help me. And even after I left that industry and that the CEO retired, every single Thanksgiving, I call him
Awesome.
to say thank you.
Yeah.
He passed away years ago. Now I call his daughter.
Nice.
Every Thanksgiving,
Nice.
Wendy Lamb. And we talk. We became friends over the years,
Yeah.
you know. And but now I'm involved in church, and that's when I felt that God was calling me to leadership, but not just inside the church, but outside the church,
Yeah.
and to honor Him in my roles as leader. And honestly, I think God gave me the ability to develop skills, but it wasn't about me, just about me. It was about helping others to become successful. And that just kept opening doors and opening doors and opening doors, and then I started getting involved in the nonprofit sector while I was working for the company.
Yeah.
And I became the co-founder of 2 nonprofits. One of them became a success, not just locally, not just in California, but nationwide.
Nice.
But that wasn't my full-time job.
Yeah.
I was doing that because the company, one day the CEO comes to me and says, hey, you know what, I'm at that stage in my life where I want to give back.
Yeah.
Go find something. I go, what do you mean? Yeah, go find one of those nonprofits. I didn't even know what
Figure
that
it
was.
out. Yeah.
Just do something and tell me.
Find me a pet project.
Yeah, I need to write a check for how much. And I go, okay. So I started with one, and then I ended up doing PR.
Okay.
For the company, and then the company realized that now I had access to this huge network where there were CEOs and business owners and you name it, and so I was opening doors. That was the other reason why the company wanted me to go into sales, because I had this network that was allowing me to get into a lot of places where sales reps could not, because I knew
you already had the relationships.
Yeah, but I was not in sales.
Yeah.
So
strange how relationships work.
Yeah. So
totally being sarcastic.
Yeah, I know. I got involved, in education and humanitarian,
all cross sector
business development.
Yeah,
you name it, all of them. The government, Mexico, imports, trade.
Yeah,
and it's just that just kept opening doors for me.
Yeah. What? You mentioned 2 nonprofits that you co-founded. What are the names?
One was a Rotary Club.
Okay.
And the other one was the Chamber of Commerce.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. As though the full-time gig you had that was paying the bills wasn't enough, huh, Cesar?
Yeah. So my wife used to tell me, why are you doing all this? You don't have time. You're involved in church and you're doing all of this and you have your job. But you know what? Somehow we managed to find a balance.
Mm-hmm. Communication's key.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just communicating, staying in sync. So, in terms of, we talked a lot about leadership outside the church. What were you doing in the church in terms of leadership at this point?
It all started at the parish level.
Okay. What parish?
St. Anthony, Claret.
Okay.
And that was a parish for a long time. And we did everything. Mm-hmm. I was in a choir. We actually recorded 2 cassettes.
Okay, awesome.
And 1 CD. So I know what it's like to be in a studio recording. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I did that for like 13 years, but I was a lecturer. We would Eucharistic ministers, we led, the youth groups, the prayer group.
So you're the parish power couple. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're running everything.
Yeah, until that priest that gave me the book came to me and said, I need to talk to you.
Okay.
And I go, okay. He said, everywhere I go, every meeting, your name and your wife's name come up.
Okay.
And you're actually not helping this parish. By the way, I go, what do you mean?
What?
He says, yeah, because you don't know how to say no.
Oh.
You need to let others grow. Sometimes, perhaps you and your wife probably can do it better. But because you don't know how to say no, others
aren't stepping in.
Are not stepping in and say, let's ask Maricela and Cesar.
Yeah.
So that's not good.
Wow.
that was one of the first times, like when I heard something, like, what do you mean? And
so how did you receive that?
Oh, it was not good. It was like it was not good. I go, what? What do you mean?
Yeah.
So anyway, but he did it in a very lovely, kind way, and at the same time firm, and he guided me. By the way, he's passed away. He looks just like John Paul II. It's almost like twins, And
What was his name?
Bill.
Okay.
Bill, I can't remember his last name. But anyway, so we have to learn how to say no. We were involved in any ministry you can imagine.
Mm-hmm.
We were leading almost, and that opened the door. And we started getting calls to get involved with other ministries outside of that parish, and then we started getting very involved in the charismatic movement. And then now we're traveling, speaking at events everywhere, not just in the diocese but outside of the diocese.
Yeah.
And then one another priest come to us and says, "You know what? You need to educate yourself. God's calling you to do this, but both of you need formation. Because will and desire and passion is not enough. A lot of the things you said are not necessarily correct." And one of them didn't say it that nice,
Yeah.
And then, okay. And one of us pretty much said, "Okay, you want to keep doing this? You need to go to New One."
Okay.
What is that? What is this lay ministry formation? So that's when I did, 3.5 years, and then my wife.
Okay.
And then after that is when the diocese said, "Hey, I think you guys will be a good couple that could lead and coordinate New Wine."
Nice.
And then and then at the same time we're already doing radio, we're doing TV.
Okay.
And the diocese asked us if we could collaborate with all the radio stations that were active at that point. They no longer exist, that they have different names now, different individuals coordinating them now. But and
So they were all separate at this point.
they were not under
an umbrella or anything like that.
They were Catholic, but they were not necessarily directly under the diocese, So they were in the process of that. So we were trying to coordinate that, and so then we ended up staying with working at the diocese level, and I don't know that I can say that I visited every single parish in the diocese, but
pretty darn close.
I worked with a lot of them.
What year is this at this point?
All the way to the pandemic.
Okay.
13, 50 years, all the way to the pandemic.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so now we're collaborating with the Family Life Ministries, with marriage prep, but it was always working with priests, teams of priests and nuns and psychologists on how to implement, how to develop lay formation. My wife was invited to translate some documents for some training material that we're using at a parish through the diocese, and then they liked what she did, so she ended up getting hired by this company that was producing a lot of the materials that were being translated in Spanish for the diocese.
Okay.
And a lot of people did not know, and then my wife was translating them to Spanish for the diocese and adapting them to the Hispanic culture.
Wow.
And so she did that for like about 3 years.
Okay.
And so we did it all the way up to the pandemic, and then that happened, and then a lot of things changed. So now we're in the process of, okay, how do we reinsert ourselves into and whatever God's calling us to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the pandemic, changed everything.
Gosh.
Yeah, changed everything. A lot of the things that
That's
how
the
diocese,
understatement of the world.
yeah, and then some of the people that were leading some of the Family Life Ministries, Sister Joanne Bauer, she ended up getting ill, and then she ended up retiring, and that changed everything. And but we invest the last 3 years prior to all the way up to the pandemic, we were involved in with this team. I guess you can call it research about how to take a different approach to marriage prep. And the team made several recommendations after several pilot. We even implemented a pilot program and how to adapt the marriage prep and respond to the actual needs that this diocese is experiencing nowadays.
Yeah.
So,
What program?
marriage prep.
Yeah.
Do
you have a name? Like, did you incorporate something outside, or did you guys build something from the ground up?
Well, it was about not necessarily about bringing and creating something completely different, but it was about adapting or adding components that respond to actual needs.
Okay.
So then we actually ended up doing a pilot twice, and then we kept changing it, and then we made our final recommendations to the diocese. But then that's when the pandemic happened. And then Sister Joanne,
this falls down at the bottom of the list.
Yeah. So I really don't know what happened after that. So we're now trying to discover what's next.
Yeah.
What do we do now?
Okay.
And over the years we discovered, my wife and I, that, and really that's what we learned from the church, that our first obligation, our first responsibility is our marriage, then our family. And I used to hear priests tell me, and if you have time, the parish.
Yeah.
If you have time.
If you have time.
But you cannot put your marriage and your family on the second or third place.
Yeah.
So it took us a long time to realize that. Because really, if every family, if every Catholic family in the world truly becomes a domestic church,
it'll light a fire, and
I mean, that's really it's all about our families becoming domestic churches. It's not so much about getting involved in the parish. It's not so much about bringing him to the temple and bringing him to the parish to be active.
It's about this being the temple.
Exactly. It is about the household, the family becoming a domestic church.
Yeah.
But somehow we haven't been able to learn that.
No, and that, you nailed it. I don't know if Manny and Angelique have shared with you. I hope they have. At the diocesan level, our marriage has been blessed by witness to love. I know Manny's and Angelique's has been. And so, I don't know what that looks like at the diocesan level, but the program is, if you're brought back into any sort of marriage prep, focus, again, at the diocesan level, I would highly recommend Witness to Love. That's all I'll say. It's just a dynamic, and I think they do. I don't know much about the program at the executive level, but they've got to have room and space to address specific needs within at a cultural diocesan level, how to adapt things so that it's focused.
Yeah, and we were training individuals that were already doing it, and obviously the people that were involved, they were there because they wanted to be there.
Yeah.
And so we had leaders and couples from all over the diocese, and some agree, some didn't agree, and then because really, every couple that needs marriage prep, in this case, speaking of that, sometimes they come with a different situation.
Absolutely.
That it's not like a one size fits all.
No.
So I really admire, the priests, the pastors that wisely use the gift of discernment to say, you know what, this particular case deserves this type of process or approach. This one, is different.
Yeah, it's
That
not a
is-
catch-all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then I just don't know that the normal lay individual understands that. And sometimes they believe it's a one size fits all.
Yeah.
And sometimes, if we're not careful, we could judge what we don't understand.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're humans, and that's the thing, you know. And but that's one thing I love about our Catholic faith, that regardless of whether we understand it or not, they keep moving forward.
Yeah.
We may not. They don't wait until we all agree and say, "Yeah, we vote for that." No. We're gonna move forward.
Charge on.
Yeah, we're gonna move forward, and then hey, it has survived more than 2,000 years.
Thank you, Jesus. So pandemic, things get squirrely for all of us. What did you guys focus on? What did you and Maricela focus on during pandemic? What was that time frame, 2020 through present?
Well, we're not working together,
Okay.
and we quickly realized, you know, that this is not good. You know, I don't know if this is gonna work. You know, like one thing is I go to work, I say goodbye, give you a hug and a kiss, and we hold hands when we wake up.
Now we're around each other all the time.
And then I come home and, oh, honey, good to see you again. Now we're like there all practically 24/7.
Yeah.
So I think that was a learning process for a lot of people.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we quickly, at first was like, oh yeah, this is amazing.
Yeah.
I think it took us a couple months to realize,
This is not amazing.
this is not that amazing, you know. And-
Man was not meant to be alone, but not this.
yeah. So that was a discovery.
Okay. For a lot of us, I can raise my hand to that. That's a
Yeah.
really good way of putting it.
You know, and then now you're worried, you know, people are dying.
Yeah.
You know, there's we don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Social,
Unfortunately,
political unrest, all that going
my
on.
mother-in-law, you know, dies because of that, and it was just, you know, no church, no mass. Then we can go. Then you have to have it outside, and it was just, you know, what do we do now? You know, so but we did, you know, we're not a perfect family, but the one thing has always been a priority for us is to be a domestic church. Imperfect,
Yeah.
but a domestic church. So we have never stopped.
Yeah.
Never, you know, and we take advantage of every season, you know?
Yeah.
And we turn it into an opportunity to evangelize and leave the faith with our family, with our kids.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a large family, so I have more than enough. I don't need to go find another ministry.
Yeah.
I have one, and it's a large one.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that was tough.
Yeah.
And then coming out of the pandemic, you know, going back to work, and what do we do now? And now the diocese is operating a little bit different, and it's not coming 100% the way it was before. And so we kept asking, oh, we'll get back to you. We'll get back to you. We don't know what we're going to do. And then, you know, then pretty soon we found ourselves like, what do we do now? Well, let's take care of a family.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we're supposed to do. But now we're feeling like God is calling us again to get back. Okay, so now we're in that process. Okay, where do we go from here?
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's the discernment, and you know, here I am, Lord. Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So with that, is there anything that's clear in terms of what's on the horizon for you guys?
Not yet.
Yeah, nothing.
Not yet. But we know based on experience. We know that God will show the way.
Will reveal it, yeah.
That he'll open the door that needs to be open.
Yeah.
And because you know what, all those years, we were on stage for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
We had the mic.
Yeah.
We were on camera. We were on radio, and we did a lot. And then gradually, we felt that God was calling you to. Okay, now you're gonna work behind the scenes on the planning. Sometimes, like when you go to a movie, well, you know who the movie stars are.
Yeah.
But for the most part, you don't know who the cameraman, you don't even know who put the money to make the movie. You don't know who. Sometimes not even the director or the producer.
Yeah.
Unless it's you're like a fan of Star Wars and the famous names,
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that, you probably more than likely I don't know.
No, yeah.
And
is it a good movie or not?
Yeah.
Yeah. Does it have the actors that I like or not?
Yeah. So we went from being on screen to behind the scenes. Mm. And we felt that God was calling us to do that. Yeah. And so now we're waiting for the next call.
Yeah. That's a beautiful... it's funny that, what we've been doing as men for the last, 3 weeks? Feels like 90 days. Yeah. It's very much turned that corner of kind of this limbo, of wow, that was a pretty strong 2 weeks, and now don't really know where we're at, So I'm trying to lean into that and embrace it. You know what I'm saying? Embrace this, okay, wherever you want to take me in this, I will follow. But it's hard because we're wired to be well, I need to kind of know something, and it's no.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
That homeless that walk into a church.
Yes. Okay.
Becomes, and Manny remembers him. He was homeless. He refused. We even offered him to come and live with us, and he said, no, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
We offered him financial help. He said, nope.
Mm-hmm.
But when we invite him to church, he said yes.
Interesting. Okay.
So every Wednesday, he'll go with us to the prayer group.
Okay.
2 or 3 years pass by. He gets up. He's not on the streets anymore. He's not doing drugs anymore. Mm-hmm. He's now has a job. He's renting a place. And then now 3, 4, 5 years. And one day he says, you know what, I am leaving. What do you mean you're leaving? He said, I'm moving to
Illinois?
Yeah, to Chicago, and
okay.
Because my family is there. They thought I was dead. And they realized that I'm still alive. He was from Mexico.
Okay.
And I think I want to move there and live with them. But now he's involved in ministry. He's in church.
Yeah.
So he moves over there. And then he ends up relocating to Sturgis, Michigan.
Okay.
And then one day he calls me. And he says, hey, this is Jose. I go, hey, how are you, Jose? Now he's involved with the Diocese of Kalamazoo.
Okay.
And he says, I talked to them about how you and your wife helped me. And they're looking for a couple that speak Spanish that can come over here and help them with, because there's a lot of Hispanics migrating to this area.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not ready for that. They don't even have any, a ministry, set up for Hispanics.
Yeah, the influx is, the diocese is lagging in terms of the influx.
So there's happening fast that
Real
they're
time.
not ready. How do we do this? And, we got to find a diocese that can help us. So I don't know how he gets involved in the conversation. He talks to them, And I go, okay. And then he says, somebody from the Diocese of Kalamazoo is going to call you.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the Office of Ministries representative from the Diocese of Kalamazoo. Yeah. And kind of like, we go through an interview. And I said, well, you need to contact our diocese. So anyway, that diocese called the Diocese of Fresno to talk about us and how they have a big need. So they come to an agreement. So now Marisela and Cesar go to the Diocese of Kalamazoo trying to figure out how to help them to start a ministry for the Hispanics.
Yeah.
And what we did is that, well, we got to find them.
Yeah.
You need to connect with them. Yeah. Now we have the experience. Mm-hmm. So our first trip, I think we were there for a week or maybe more. Every day we were driving around trying to find where all the Hispanics lived.
Just trying to find doors and knocking.
Literally knock doors. Hey, I'm so and so. We're here. We're going to start this because we were trying to identify. I said we need to build the core group. Mm-hmm. We need to find leaders.
Yeah,
or who has potential for leadership.
Yeah,
and
they'll step forward.
Yeah, and then they will be recognized. And then anyway, so the first trip was just to do that.
Okay.
The second trip, we go back. Now we have a group.
Okay.
Now we start doing, leadership formation and, very basic. Anyway, we did that for 5 years.
But based off of this one interaction with
a
homeless man that comes in and says,
"Do not judge me by because of my appearance."
Wow.
I need to talk to somebody.
And from when you met him to when stuff kicked off with the Diocese of Kalamazoo, how many years?
5 years.
Yeah.
No, maybe more. No, more. Because he was here 5, and then he moves over there, and maybe 7 years.
And you could have never called that in a million years.
Yeah, no. I didn't hear from him for like 2 years.
Yeah.
And then the next time I hear from him, hey,
Cesar.
So what I'm trying to go to here is that what is next in your ministry? I don't know.
Yeah.
And God may call us in very strange ways. Yeah. And he may show the path. Mm-hmm. And we just don't know where that path's going to lead us. But, I didn't know that was going to happen.
Yeah.
I had no clue.
Yeah.
So that's what happened with Jose.
That's cool.
It all started with a conversation.
That's beautiful. And that, so he came into St. Anthony Claret?
Yes.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Jose. God bless you, Jose. What's his last name?
Camacho.
Jose
Camacho.
That's a great
And we're
last
still
name.
friends after all these years.
Yeah.
It's been.
And
I don't even
he's
know
still in Michigan.
Yeah. He's still involved in church and everything.
That's great, man.
Yeah.
I feel like we don't need to do closing thoughts. I feel like we should just leave it there. Where can people find you, Cesar?
Where can they find me?
Yeah. And don't tell them they can call me. Everyone says that. You can call Manny.
Well, you can give him my phone number.
Okay. Yeah. Call Manny for his dad's phone number.
Yeah.
Well, we really appreciate you coming on. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
I share with Manny and Rick pretty consistently in our core group of guys that my dad called me out on this, and I didn't know quite what I was getting into, starting whatever God has in store for this. And your testimony has been fraught with that in a good way, in terms of when you start ministry, start responding and saying yes to God, you think that you're putting in all the work, but really you're going to be more enriched by the ministry than what you're putting in. That's
what you're
paraphrasing.
mentioning your dad. What what we're doing today, I do it with him.
Yeah.
Often.
Yeah.
Exactly what we're doing today.
Yeah.
We talk.
Yeah.
And we talk.
Yeah.
And we talk.
Yeah.
And we just did it not too long ago.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know for how long.
Like 3-4 hours.
Yeah.
And I open up to him.
Yeah.
I cry.
Mm-hmm.
I feel 100% comfortable with my son. We both cry.
Yeah.
So...
And then we eat pizza.
Manny said, and then we eat pizza.
Then we eat pizza. Yeah. Yeah. So, I always encourage, it's never too late to connect with those that you love.
Mm.
And sometimes you really don't need a reason.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah.
And, and somebody's going to have to take the initiative.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's me, sometimes it's him.
Mm-hmm.
But, and really, there's no agenda.
No.
Well, sometimes there's one, but it's like the initial conversation, but then we just talk and talk and talk.
Yeah.
And we do exactly what we're doing right now. It's exactly, and to me, that's a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
To me, to be able to do that with my son.
Mm-hmm.
I was just telling somebody yesterday, you know what? I know I'm his dad, and I know that he is my son. But I think we're becoming friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's how my dad and I are now. We've known our place, but it's changed, and it's changing. It's and it's beautiful. That's why I want to record these things, these conversations, long, like you said, 3-4 hours, because I want my kids. I want your kids to be able to hear, great grandpa, when they can't know you, and have conversations. So,
now you brought up kids into the picture.
mm-hmm.
I just did this for the first time with his 2 boys not too long ago.
Yeah.
They know that my routine every Friday, for the most part, I smoke a cigar.
Mm-hmm.
They know where to find me. And that day that they happened to be there, both of them went out there.
Nice.
They're teenagers now.
Yeah.
And we talked for I think 2 hours, maybe more. I don't know.
That's awesome.
And then he came to pick him up.
Yeah.
Him and his wife.
Mm-hmm.
And they left.
Yeah.
I went up to my room and I started crying. And my wife said, "What's going on?" I said, "You're not going to believe what just happened to me."
Yeah.
What do you mean? I go, I was in a conversation with 2 of my grandkids for almost 3 hours.
Yeah.
And they were so interested in the conversation. And we were doing this. Obviously, they're minors and I'm the adult. But it was, I could not believe it. To me, that was a blessing.
Yes. Because they genuinely want to know.
It was them, It wasn't me. They just came out and they started asking questions, know. And I go, oh, my God, I cannot believe I was just given that amazing opportunity.
Yeah.
That blessing.
Yes.
So, you know what? You don't have to wait, You just need to be ready for the opportunity. Take it.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's wrap up in prayer. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Lord, we thank you for allowing the space and the time and the talents for us to gather here and celebrate both the joys and the sufferings of Cesar's life. We just ask that whoever his story is supposed to touch, in listening to it, whoever is supposed to receive healing, he mentioned throughout his story, just tremendous healing through a lot of hurt and a lot of pain. May his story be hope. May his story and his life experience be hope for those that have experienced similar stories, similar backgrounds. May we always be just deeply, deeply grateful for your sacrifice on the cross for us and for your conquering of death for us. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. Thank you, Cesar.